Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today I bankrupt you once again by Jimmy, Nick, and like always, Fluff.
Sure.
Howdy, howdy.
What's going on, beautiful people?
In today's matchup, we have Jimmy versus Nick. Jimmy has brought back Cell, and Nick has now brought us Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, which is from the new set, which is pretty awesome. I think, if I recall correctly, you just need to get product, right, Jimmy?
Well, I had access to it. I was just too lazy to build it on the day of this event. Because if you don't know how our locals work, our locals is 45 minutes away from me, so I didn't feel like driving out there the day before just to get product.
I'm gonna say it did come the day before Saturday,
yeah.
So
we ended up getting our product late at our locals, so I just said, you know what, I got Cell built. I'm just going to play Cell this weekend, and then next weekend I will actually have time to sit down and build the product or build the deck in front of me and not have to rush it, because every single time I've done that, I've forgotten something. I don't know if we have that on camera, but the last time I built a deck the day of the event, I just straight up forgot to put my negates and super combos in the list. So I didn't want to have something like that because it always happens to me.
fair enough. So, like that being said, let's get into today's matchup. Nick, you want to go over Gamma 1 and Gamma 2?
Yeah, sure. So, new list from set 17. Essentially, the way it works is you put a lot of androids in your energy, and you can awaken with a 2-drop unison pretty early, and then you play androids from your energy to do effects. You do a lot of bottom decking with the androids, which is really nice, and then at the end of your turn, you can essentially untap 3 when you're awakened. You pick 3 androids up, draw a card, put 3 androids back.
That 15, I think it is. That's the floodgate negate, right?
Correct.
Which is very. I mean, that's iffy to do against Cell, though, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the good thing about the awakened is you can pick those cards back up and replace them. So as long as you have androids in your energy, it almost functions like a second hand. It's like a good mix between what's the deck? I can't even think of it. But a deck that has a second hand and then also SS3 ramp.
Kind of like Piccolo was with the life.
Yeah, kind of like that. You always have access to those cards, so it's really easy to charge a card you think you might need later, pick it up, and then save it for later.
And that counterplay was very nice. Unfortunately, Jimmy did have a secondary Cell to go into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that counterplay is pretty prevalent in this matchup.
In my opinion, slowing Cell down is the best way to get at it.
Yeah, it was able to keep him off his chains early on, and the way that counterplay reads, if your leader card's an android and you have a unison in play, the cost is reduced, and essentially you tap 1 in the battle card. If it's 4 or less, it goes to the bottom deck instead of being played, and then it's a 15k blocker. So really good counterplay. And the thing with Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 as well is if you do the effect where you pick up the androids from your energy, you can only use android effects on your turn, on your opponent's turn. So you're really limited on the tech choices that you use, but this Android 18 is a really solid counterplay for any type of pressure, so it's a really good piece.
It's one of the few counterplays you could play, right?
Yeah, because if you do the effect, you can't use any of your good stuff any of the blue good stuff like God Sealing Trunks or Baby Ape.
Which that is very relevant in this matchup. The clause that you cannot activate non-red ribbon cards, or Android cards, whatever. I read the card and I read that part of the auto, and or read the first part of the auto and was like, "Oh, this is just classic hyper SS3. This is dope." Did not read the rest of the card. And while I had no interest in this deck beforehand, I didn't really look at any of the cards that were going to be ran or in the list. I've read this unison about 100 times, and that's the only card I've read out of this entire list. So I was playing under the assumption that this entire game, that God Sealing was live and a possibility. So a lot of my plays were with the assumption that he had a God Sealing in hand, which is why if you're watching this, you might notice some small things that could have been better play on my part. It's because of that. And now I know it kind of opens up my play style against this particular deck.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Once again.
Yeah, I don't want you playing cards. I don't want you getting stuff under your lead. So I'm saying no.
Yeah, and that card pretty much after it's played, you activate main to put on your leader and draw one, right?
Yes, the 17 and 18, yes. Yeah, and there's another fucking 18. Like, I was always kind of a doubter of this Android 18. Because it was made for the Android 16 list, if I remember correctly. So Android 16 just had better options to run the list. So I just never ran the card. I always was like upset, or not upset about it. I always just said the card was bad. And then after playing it here, like I'm like, this is the best fucking card ever made. Like this card is fucking stupid.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing here is on the leader, it has an auto whenever you play a card from your energy, you place the top card of your deck in your energy and rest mode. So you can whiff really easy. As you can see, I hit the D magic. But the Android 18 I just played, it has an effect where you search the top 5, add an Android card to your energy, and take an energy, place it at the bottom of your deck, and shuffle. So you're able to fix your energy with that card. So it's pretty easy to whiff. Essentially, the way my ratios are is about a little over half are Android cards. The rest is all non-Androids. So that card and then the Android 17 that I just played do the exact same thing. So it's real easy to fix your energy to make sure you have 3 to do your auto at the end of the turn. And then what I did here as well with the Android 17 and 18 Unison, should have explained a little while ago, but it has an auto when either player attacks, you add a marker to it, then you can combo with a 5k blue card with its skills negated. So the first swing of every turn, you're going to make your leader 20k. You're going to make one battle card an extra 5k. Your unison. It's one of the few unisons where you can actually get technically a combo step. So if your opponent decides to swing into it, they're going to have to put more work into it.
And just for clarification's sake, it went from 6 to 3 because Nick didn't put the 7 marker on it. It's a -4. It's fine.
Yeah, I didn't have enough dice.
Yeah, I was very impressed by this Unison. This is, like I said, this is one of the few cards that I had read from Gamma 1 and 2, and I was very, very impressed after seeing it in motion.
Yeah, the Unison's sick. It builds markers really fast, and you're really de-incentivized to try to pressure that Unison.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost easier to deal with its activate main ability than it is to try to kill it.
Yeah, as long as your opponent swings, it's initially a +2 marker, 15k unison.
Mm-hmm.
And then the -4 is devastating on its own. It gives it +10 in dual attack. So you have a 25k dual attacker swinging at you, and then you just throw anything on it if you want to. A Champa, crits, anything, make it even more threatening.
So you're both getting into an interesting position here. Jimmy is on turn 4, and we all know Cell likes turn 5 a lot. And you do have a 21 in your energy, so just depending on how this next turn goes, I feel like it can go either way. You do have 5 life, though. That's a lot of life for this late, far in the game for Cell to go up against. But I have seen Cell do it.
Like, usually once the cell go off turn happens, it really doesn't matter how much life your opponent has. Depending on your board state, which Cell is really, really good at building a board state very quickly. Especially with like the dual attack 8 drop. You're gonna have double strike off of the off of your perfect force. I do have a new addition to the deck that's gonna have dual attack double strike. And you're going to be sniping 1 life with the Unison. So, really, if you do your math right, you can take your opponent down from any life total on Cell's go off turn, because pretty much all those attacks are non-negatable, since your opponent's going to have no cards in hand. And again, usually very few cards on the field. But then again, I didn't know what this list was going to do, and I was very hesitant to actually activate Homicidal Clones the turn before by taking a life. Because I know there's the Bioandroid Cell, which is going to be a big boss monster. I knew there was the 21 in the energy that's just going to snipe a life. But I just didn't know what else the list could do, so I was very hesitant to put myself at a low life total. And again, I'm still playing this with the assumption that there's God Sealing, and I had not seen a single God Sealing this entire game, so I was really on edge and trying to figure out a way to play around God Sealing on my turn 5.
Yeah, that's rough. Playing around God Sealing when it can't be used.
Mm-hmm.
Like we always say, let us make the mistakes.
I mean, you could technically run it offensively if you wanted to, but it would just clunk, and it's really easy to misplay with that. So it's better just not to run the card at all.
Yeah, and like that play right there, I burned a super combo to see if I could draw into something that would get me out of that attack, which was a crit attack that I did not want to take. And after drawing the cards in my hand, the only way I was going to be able to get out of it was to combo off Xenocell, which I was reading Deflect. I need to keep this in the case of God Sealing, because I cannot play out my my Perfect Force. Otherwise, if I knew God Sealing was not on the table, I would have probably just comboed that off right there to just get out of that crit attack and stay at 3 life and not have to worry about just having 1 damage dealt followed up by a bad omen from the energy.
So, 2 things. I must have missed it. You did Dormant, though.
I believe so. I missed it as well.
He did.
Okay. And I thought you had to put 3 energy. It's up to 3 energy back down?
You have to pick 3 up, but you could put up to 3 down.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
trying to maximize your hand, pretty much.
Yeah, and I know this is the turn essentially where he can just destroy it, and so I decided to baby hatch and stop him from attacking so I can go again.
So the new addition to the deck, Bio Android Cell. This is going to be on both sides of the table, I believe. I believe you also run Bio Android, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's the main. It's essentially this list is the SR is made for this list, but yeah, you can run it. Right?
Yeah. So if you don't know how this card works in the green-yellow cell variant, it only takes 1 blue energy to play itself out of the energy, so you can just charge it and then tap it to satisfy its own cost. And that was another option I was going to take, again, under the assumption that God Sealing Technique is on the table. I cannot really afford to play Perfect Force for under my leader for 5, so tapping the 4 to play out Bio Android, which usually you only want to charge it on the turn you're going to play it because it does turn off the Saiyaman super combos. But I had already utilized them at this point. That there's no reason not to just slam it in my energy. And those 2 cards under there, that's just a mark that I'm at 8 markers.
I was about to ask you what.
Yeah, we didn't have any more dice on the table, so I just threw 2 under there just to call it.
Yeah, and here we go with the other Dormant. So now that he's got the blocker too, it's going to be really tough for me to close the game out. In retrospect, I should have just went for the Bad Omen just to crit the life anyway to put him down to 1. And the auto on Bad Omen would also take 2 away from the cell, so it would have been less pressure for him or less defense for him. But I'm really thinking here, how can I do the 2 damage essentially?
Especially now with only 1 more attack.
Yeah,
and he's gonna block it.
Yeah, no matter what. There are some tech pieces where I can make them bottom deck, like the Android 17 and 18 that's in the energy, the blue-green one. It'll bottom deck any card greater than the opponent's energy, so that's a piece. I also ran Realm of Gods or Beers Destroys to bottom deck on my turn too, so I have the pieces to do it, I just couldn't afford the energy, essentially.
Hmm.
And I think that cell has at least 2 more cards underneath it.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Now, I can't remember, is the bottom or discard 2 cards underneath it, is that a once per turn thing or just it's a over anytime?
So the permanent is remove 2 cards from under it to keep it if it's removed by a skill. And then there's the activate battle to remove 1 from under it, and that is once per turn.
Yeah, so what I was doing here is I was trying to find my cell SR, the one that he has played in his energy. That was my goal, because it's only 4 energy to play, so I could tap 4, make him bottom deck so he can remove everything from under the cell, so it wouldn't stay around.
Mm-hmm.
But we did not hit it. We hit a super combo.
Which I remember you reading me both this and the 17 and 18 that play from the energy both have the thing of put a card at the bottom of the deck, then shuffle. And for some reason, like I was like a smooth brain at this time, and I'm like, why would you put it on the bottom of the deck, then shuffle? Like you're just putting it at the bottom of the deck. And it took me way too long to like realize like, oh, because you're searching the top 5 and doing all that shit as well. That card just confused the fuck out of me for no reason. There's not many cards that I just sit there and read, and I'm like, I didn't comprehend a single word this card said. But that 17 and 18 does it to me.
Reading's hard.
Yeah, it is sometimes.
So this is where it gets tricky now, because like I said, you said earlier, you're still anticipating the Xenotrunks. Cell has the Flux. It doesn't really matter here.
Mm.
And yeah.
He just rips all the cards out of my hand.
Yeah, but that there was a few moments of sloppy play on my part where I felt like if I did this, I was going to lose the game because of God Sealing Trunks, and that was kind of like the lack of a better term story of this match was me fearing God Sealing, and then Nick sitting there going, "I really hope he doesn't play this card on me because I don't have God Sealing." But now I know how to play against the deck better, and I'm actually like really interested in this list or this deck in general because it looks really cool.
So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in today's video. Keep in mind his buttons down below and on the screen while Fluff does the outro.
It was nice to see some new stuff coming out of set 17. Let us know in the comments below how you're liking Ultimate Spot. As always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to. And Fluff out.